Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless if you're here for it. Hit subscribe and let's go.
The cream-colored envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Heavy cardstock. Embossed lettering. My father's retirement celebration. 42 years with the same accounting firm, culminating in a partnership he'd fought decades to achieve. I opened it at my desk. The same minimalist standing desk in my downtown loft where I'd built everything they knew nothing about. The invitation was elegant, professional, and it came with a separate note card handwritten in my mother's precise script. Close family only. Your lifestyle doesn't fit our image. Perhaps it's best if you don't attend. We'll celebrate privately another time. I read it twice. Set it down. Returned to the spreadsheet showing Q3 projections for my company's expansion into the European market. $847 million in projected revenue. We were ahead of schedule. My phone buzzed. Did you get the invitation? I did. You understand, don't you? Your brother's partner is a neurosurgeon. Your sister's husband just made junior partner at his firm. Your father's colleagues will be there. Judges, senior partners, people from the country club. We just think. It's fine, Mom. You're not upset? Not at all. Good. Because honestly, sweetheart, showing up in your thrift store clothes and talking about your little consulting projects, it would just be awkward for everyone. I looked down at my outfit. Vintage Chanel blazer I'd found at an estate sale. $47. It was worth $8,000. I'd learned early that people see what they expect to see. I understand completely, I said. I knew you would. You've always been so understanding about these things. Not like your brother, he gets so defensive. But you just accept reality. Reality. I pulled up another screen. The Wall Street Journal had requested an interview about our recent acquisition. Fortune wanted a cover shoot. Forbes was running a feature on the youngest self-made billionaires under 40. I was 36. My company, Meridian Analytics, had been valued at $4.3 billion in our last funding round. We provided AI-driven financial forecasting for 17 of the Fortune 100 companies, including, ironically, 3 firms where my father's accounting partners served on the boards. When is it? I asked. Saturday evening. 7 o'clock. The Harrington Club downtown. Black tie. Sounds lovely. It will be. Your brother is giving a speech. Very touching. About what an inspiration Dad has been. My brother, Clayton, 2 years older, partner at a mid-tier law firm, married to Rachel the neurosurgeon. They lived in the right neighborhood, drove the right cars, attended the right charity galas. They also lived paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt from trying to maintain appearances. I knew because Rachel had recently accepted a position at Memorial General Hospital, a hospital whose new research wing I'd funded anonymously to the tune of $85 million. The board packet with donor information sat in my secure files. That's nice, I said. Tell everyone I said congratulations. We will. And honey, maybe use this time to think about your future. You can't consult forever. Maybe it's time to get a real job. There's no shame in admitting something didn't work out. I ended the call. Returned to work. My little consulting projects had started 9 years ago, during my final year of graduate school. While my family assumed I was wasting my mathematics PhD on academic obscurity, I'd been developing predictive algorithms for financial markets. The first client paid me $50,000 for a 3-month project. I delivered results that saved them $3.2 million in projected losses. They told 2 competitors. Those competitors told others. Within 18 months, I had 23 corporate clients and had hired my first employee, Marcus, a brilliant data scientist who'd been overlooked by every major tech firm because he'd learned to code in prison. They see the conviction, not the code, he told me at our first meeting. You're the only person who asked to see my work first. Now Marcus was my CTO. He owned 4% of the company. He was worth approximately $172 million on paper. My family had met him once at a coffee shop near their house. Your assistant seems nice, Mom had said afterward. Is he studying for his GD? Marcus had 3 master's degrees. I built my company quietly, deliberately. While my family celebrated Clayton's promotions and my sister Victoria's husband's achievements, I signed contracts, hired exceptional people no one else wanted, and solved problems no one else could solve. I worked from home in vintage clothes and kept my mouth shut at family dinners. When they asked about my work, I said, consulting, and let them imagine whatever made them comfortable. When they offered advice about real careers and settling down, I nodded politely. I wasn't hiding. I was watching, testing, waiting to see if any of them would ever ask a real question about my life. Express genuine curiosity. Offer support that wasn't wrapped in condescension. They never did. 3 years ago at Clayton's 40th birthday party, I'd arrived in a dress from a consignment shop. Victoria had pulled me aside. Honey, I have some professional clothes I've outgrown. You could have them. We just want you to feel included. She wore a size 6. I wore a size 8. But that wasn't the point. That's sweet, I'd said. Thank you. That night I'd gone home to my loft, the one they thought I rented with roommates but that I actually owned outright along with the entire building, and made a decision. I would build something so undeniable that one day the truth would find them. I wouldn't announce it. I wouldn't prove anything. I would simply continue building. And eventually reality would arrive on its own terms. Saturday evening I was in my office when my phone rang. Katie, my executive assistant. The Fortune shoot is confirmed for tonight at 7:30. The Harrington Club downtown. The journalist wants to capture some candid shots in an upscale environment. I told them you had a scheduling conflict but they insisted. This is for the cover story. PO of the year. The photographer specifically requested that location for the lighting. I went very still. The Harrington Club? I know it's last minute. They're already setting up in the private dining area. Should I cancel? I looked at the cream-colored invitation still sitting on my desk. The one that had uninvited me to my father's retirement dinner at the Harrington Club at 7 o'clock. No, I said slowly. Don't cancel. I'll be there. I dressed carefully. Not vintage this time. Custom Tom Ford suit, midnight blue, $6,800. Louboutin heels. Hair professionally styled that afternoon. Diamond earrings I'd bought for myself when we'd hit our first billion in revenue. 30 carats total, ethically sourced. I looked like exactly what I was. The Uber dropped me at the Harrington Club at 7:20 p.m. The Fortune team was waiting in the lobby. 3 people with professional cameras, lighting equipment, and very focused expressions. Miss Thornton. Thank you so much for accommodating the location change. The light in the main dining room is perfect for what we're envisioning. The main dining room? I asked carefully. Yes, we cleared it with the club manager. He was incredibly accommodating when we explained it was for Fortune's CEO of the Year cover. Said we could use any space we needed. The main dining room, where my father's retirement dinner was happening. Lead the way, I said. We entered through the main doors. The photographer went first, already framing shots. I followed, my heels clicking on marble floors. The dining room was exactly as I'd imagined. Elegant. Expensive. 60 people in black tie, celebrating my father's retirement. Crystal chandeliers. White tablecloths. A banner that read, "Congratulations Richard Thornton, 42 years of excellence." My father stood at the center table holding court. My mother beside him in a silver gown. Clayton was mid-speech at the podium, gesturing expansively. Victoria and her husband sat at the family table laughing at something. None of them saw me enter. The photographer moved confidently into the room, scoping locations. Perfect. The natural light from those windows, the architectural details. This is exactly what we need. Miss Thornton, if you could stand here. She positioned me near the center of the room, about 15 feet from my family's table. That's when Clayton saw me. He stopped mid-sentence. His face went confused, then annoyed. He looked at my suit, my styling, the camera crew with professional equipment, and his expression shifted to something I'd never seen before. Uncertainty. Excuse me, he said into the microphone. I think there's been some confusion. This is a private event. The photographer turned, surprised. Oh, we cleared this with management. We're from Fortune magazine. We're here for our CEO of the Year cover shoot. It'll only take about 30 minutes. The room went quiet. My mother stood up. I'm sorry, there must be a mistake. This is a retirement dinner. You can't just... Mrs. Thornton? The journalist stepped forward, extending her hand. I'm Rebecca Chin from Fortune. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Your daughter has been incredibly generous with her time for this feature. We wanted to capture her in a sophisticated environment that reflects her position in the business world. My mother's hand froze halfway to the handshake. My daughter. Rebecca looked confused. Yes. We're here to photograph Stephanie for our CEO of the Year cover story. Didn't she tell you? We've been working on this feature for 3 months. Her company's trajectory is remarkable. $4.3 billion valuation, disrupting an entire industry, all while maintaining a remarkably low profile. It's exactly the kind of story our readers love. Victoria made a sound like she was choking. My father's face had gone completely white. CEO of the... Stephanie, what is this? I met his eyes. Calm. Steady. The same way I'd stayed calm through every dismissive comment, every uninvitation, every assumption that I was failing. This is a photo shoot, Dad. For Fortune magazine. They wanted to capture some shots in an upscale environment. The club manager approved it. But you do consulting. Small projects. You work from home. Rebecca laughed, not unkindly. Mr. Thornton, your daughter runs Meridian Analytics. They provide AI-driven financial forecasting for most of the Fortune 100, including, if I'm not mistaken, several firms represented at this dinner tonight. She glanced around the room. Is anyone here from Whitman and Associates, Grandview Capital, or Forsyth Industries? 3 men at different tables raised their hands slowly. They looked at me. Recognition dawned on one face, then another. You're Stephanie Thornton, one of them said slowly. By God. We use your platform. It saved our firm $340 million last year. The photographer was already working, capturing candid shots of me in the room. Miss Thornton, could you stand by that window? We want to capture the city skyline behind you. Very woman at the top of her industry energy. I moved to the window. Positioned myself. The camera flashed. Clayton's voice came out strangled. Stephanie. What the hell is going on? I looked at him. At all of them. My mother gripping the back of her chair. Victoria's husband with his mouth open. My father's colleagues whispering urgently to each other. The 3 men who'd recognized my company's name were pulling out phones, presumably looking up Meridian Analytics. I'm working, I said simply. Like I have been for the past 9 years. Building something. You just never asked what it was. You said consulting. Mom's voice pitched high. You said small projects. I do consult. For 17 Fortune 100 companies. We provided the financial forecasting that guided $23 billion in corporate decisions last year. We prevented approximately $4.7 billion in potential losses. We employed 247 people. We're opening offices in London, Singapore, and Berlin in Q1. Rebecca was taking notes, beaming. This is perfect. The family dynamic. How you built this empire while they had no idea. Our readers are going to love this angle. Wait. Victoria found her voice. You're saying you run $1 billion company? You drive a Honda Civic. A 2015 Honda Civic that I paid cash for and that gets excellent gas mileage. I also own a Tesla Model S, an Audi e-tron, and a vintage Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing. They're my garage. You've never asked to see where I live. You wear thrift store clothes. Mom gestured at my suit. That's not. This is Tom Ford. Custom. But yes, I often wear vintage and thrift because I like the fashion and I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Usually. I gestured at my current outfit. Tonight is for the magazine. The photographer was capturing everything. The shocked faces. My calm expression. The contrast between my polished appearance and their obvious distress. Miss Thornton, Rebecca said gently, I have to ask, the invitation situation. Your assistant mentioned there was a scheduling conflict because you'd been uninvited to a family event. Was this that event? The room held its breath. I looked at my mother. The invitation said my lifestyle didn't fit their image. That it was close family only. That it would be awkward for Dad's colleagues if I attended. One of the men from Forsyth Industries made a sound. You uninvited her? To her own father's retirement dinner? Do you have any idea who she is? I'm his daughter, I said quietly. That should have been enough. My father sank into his chair. Stephanie. Your mother wrote that note. I didn't know she'd. You didn't ask, I said. The same way you never asked about my work. My life. What I was building. You made assumptions and those assumptions were comfortable so you never questioned them. Clayton's face had gone red. You let us think you were struggling. You let us give you advice about getting a real job. You sat there at family dinners and said nothing while He stopped. Why? I was testing you, I said simply. Waiting to see if any of you would ever look past your assumptions. Ask real questions. Show genuine interest in my life rather than disappointment that I wasn't living the life you'd imagined for me. I paused. You never did. The photographer lowered her camera. I think we have what we need for the candid shots. Should we move to the formal portraits? Actually, said one of my father's colleagues, a senior partner at Whitman and Associates. Richard, I think we should discuss something. Your daughter's company provides the analytics platform we use. We pay $1.2 million annually for that service. We consider it essential to our operations. Another man spoke up. Forsyth Industries as well. $2.4 million annual contract. We've been trying to schedule a meeting with Ms. Thornton for 6 months. Her executive team handles our account, but we'd love a direct relationship with the founder. A woman from Grandview Capital stood. We're smaller. $800,000 annually. But the ROI has been extraordinary. Miss Thornton, I'd love to discuss expanding our services. My father looked at them. At me. How much is your company worth? The last valuation was $4.3 billion, Rebecca supplied helpfully. Stephanie owns 73% of the company outright. That makes her personal net worth approximately $3.1 billion, not accounting for her other investments. Victoria made that choking sound again. Other investments? Mom whispered. I pulled out my phone. Opened a file. I own 17 commercial properties in 3 cities. I'm a silent partner in 12 startups, 8 of which have achieved unicorn status. I funded the new research wing at Memorial General Hospital, the one where Rachel works. I endowed 3 scholarships at my alma mater. I have a diversified portfolio including stocks, bonds, and alternative investments valued at approximately $890 million. Rachel, my brother's partner, the neurosurgeon, had gone very pale. You funded the research wing? The anonymous $85 million donation. I believe in supporting medical research. Your hospital is doing important work. But you let me tell you about my new job there. You congratulated me. You never said. Rachel looked at Clayton. She funded my entire department. The photographer was capturing all of it. The revelation spreading across faces. The reality settling into the room like unexpected weather. I need to ask, Rebecca said, her journalist instincts sharp. Why the secrecy? Why not tell your family about your success? I considered the question. Because success revealed under pressure isn't the same as support offered freely. I wanted to know if my family loved me for who I was, not what I'd achieved. If they'd show interest in my life without needing my net worth as justification. I looked around the table. They didn't. That's not fair, Mom said, but her voice lacked conviction. We always supported you. You offered me Victoria's hand-me-down clothes. You suggested I get a real job. You uninvited me to Dad's retirement dinner because my lifestyle didn't fit your image. Kept my voice even. That's not support. That's tolerance of what you perceived as failure. My father stood slowly. Stephanie, I don't know what to say. You could start with, I'm sorry. Or, I should have asked more questions. Or, I'm proud of you. I paused. But I'm not sure you are proud. Not of what I built. Maybe of what it's worth. But those are different things. The room was silent except for the soft click of the photographer's camera. Rebecca checked her notes. We should probably move forward with the formal portraits. Miss Thornton, would you prefer to do them elsewhere, given the circumstances? I looked at my family. At the 60 people who'd come to celebrate my father's 42 years of moderate success at a mid-tier accounting firm. At the colleagues who now understood exactly who I was and what I'd built while being dismissed by the people who should have believed in me first. No, I said. Let's do them here. Use the architectural details. The chandelier. Capture the whole room if you want. This is perfect. As it was. This room, this moment. It was the culmination of 9 years of quiet building. Of proving nothing to anyone except myself. Of creating something extraordinary while being told I was ordinary. The photographer positioned me at the center of the room. The same room I'd been uninvited to. My family watched from their table, faces reflecting various stages of shock, embarrassment, and dawning understanding. "Miss Thornton," Rebecca said as they adjusted the lighting, "last question for the article. What would you say to other entrepreneurs who feel underestimated by their families?" I thought about it. About Marcus and his 3 master's degrees. About the 247 people I employed, brilliant minds who'd been overlooked, dismissed, or written off by others. About building something meaningful in a world that constantly told me I was doing it wrong. "Build it anyway," I said. "Build it for yourself. Build it for the people who believe in you even if they're not the people you expected. Build it because you can, because you must, because the work matters. And someday the truth will find its own way into the right rooms." The camera flashed. Captured me standing in my Tom Ford suit in the center of my father's retirement dinner. Captured the Harrington Club dining room, the shocked faces, the moment when 9 years of assumptions shattered against reality. "Beautiful," the photographer said. "That's our cover." The dinner ended awkwardly. My father's colleagues kept approaching me requesting business cards, meetings, partnerships. I was polite. Professional. I gave them Katie's contact information and suggested they email to schedule time. My family sat at their table barely touching their food. As the Fortune team packed up their equipment, Clayton approached me. "Steph, I don't know what I need to say." "You don't need to say anything." "I do. We all do. Jesus, Steph, we treated you like you were failing. Like you needed our pity. And the whole time you were," he gestured helplessly, "building something," I finished. "Yes. Why didn't you tell us?" I met his eyes. "Why didn't you ask? In 9 years, Clay, did you ever ask to see my office? Meet my team? Understand what I was actually doing? Or did you just accept that I was the family disappointment and move on?" He had no answer. Victoria joined us, her husband trailing behind. "Stephanie, I don't even know where to start. I offered you my old clothes. I gave you career advice. You thought I needed saving," I said. "I didn't. I needed family who saw me clearly enough to recognize that I didn't need saving." Mom and Dad approached last. Mom's makeup was smudged from crying. Dad looked older than he had an hour ago. "Stephanie," Mom began, "I wrote that note because I thought. You thought I'd embarrass you. You thought my lifestyle, the one where I was building a multi-billion-dollar company, didn't fit your image. You prioritized appearance over reality. Assumptions over questions. I'm sorry." She said it simply. "I'm so sorry." I nodded. "I know you are. No. Because now my success is undeniable. But the apology I needed was 9 years ago when you first started treating my path like a problem to fix instead of a journey to support." Dad reached for my hand. I let him take it. "I'm proud of you," he said. "I should have said that before. I should have seen what you were doing." "Yes," I agreed. "You should have. Can we?" He struggled with the words. "Can we start over? Can you help us understand your world?" I looked at them. All of them. My family. The people who'd raised me, loved me in their way, and failed me in others. The people who'd taught me that success revealed is not the same as support offered. The people who'd given me the greatest gift without meaning to, the absolute certainty that I could build something meaningful entirely on my own terms. "We can try," I said finally. "But it starts with questions. Real questions. Not advice. Not assumptions. Just genuine curiosity about my actual life." "Okay." Dad nodded. "Hey. So, tell me about your company. How did you build it? When did you start?" I smiled. Not the polite smile I'd worn at 100 family dinners. A real one. It started 9 years ago with $50,000 and a mathematician's approach to predicting financial patterns. Let me tell you about the first client who took a chance on an algorithm developed by someone everyone else dismissed. And there, in the room I'd been uninvited to, surrounded by the wreckage of 9 years of assumptions, I finally told my family the truth about who I was and what I'd built. They listened. For the first time in years, they actually listened. The Fortune cover ran 6 weeks later. "Stephanie Thornton, the billionaire you've never heard of," in bold letters across my photo. Me standing in the Harrington Club, city skyline behind me, wearing confidence and Tom Ford. The article detailed everything. My company's trajectory. The family dynamic. The uninvitation. The moment when Truth walked into a retirement dinner with a camera crew. It went viral. My family called separately, Clayton, Victoria, Mom, Dad, each with apologies that felt more genuine than before. Rachel sent flowers to my office with a note. Thank you for the research wing. And for teaching us all a lesson about assumptions. Business exploded. Being the CEO who'd built a billion-dollar empire while her family thought she was struggling became the story everyone wanted to know. Investors called. Media requested interviews. LinkedIn calls skyrocketed. But the moment I treasured most came 3 months later at Thanksgiving dinner at my loft, the one I owned the whole building, when Dad asked, "What are you working on now?" with genuine curiosity and no hidden agenda. I told him about the AI development for climate prediction models, about the team in Singapore, about the challenges of scaling global operations. He listened, asked follow-up questions, showed real interest. "I'm sorry I didn't see this before," he said quietly. "I'm sorry I needed Fortune magazine to tell me my daughter was extraordinary." "I'm not extraordinary, Dad. I'm just someone who refused to accept other people's definitions of success, including yours." He nodded. "That might be the most extraordinary thing about you." Maybe he was right. Or maybe the real lesson was simpler. Build what matters to you with people who see you clearly, and let the truth find its own way into the right rooms. Because eventually reality arrives. Sometimes with a camera crew. Sometimes at your father's retirement dinner. Sometimes in the form of a cream-colored invitation that uninvites you to your own triumph. And when it does, make sure you're wearing something fabulous. Preferably Tom Ford.